Okay, yay! We're trying new technology stuff. So thank you for joining us. And I'm so excited that we've got some people joining us live on Facebook. And I'm really excited to be doing this a little bit of a different way. So thank you for being here. We love doing these talks, and we love having you with us. And we love that you're watching our replays. So thank you for allowing us to add value and to make a difference in the world. All right, so this is actually the third talk in a series on value alignment for relationships. But if you haven't seen any of our other talks before, don't worry. We are going to do a little bit of a recap today. And if you haven't received any of the previous ones and you would like them, please just connect with me. I'm very happy to share them with you. So if you don't know us, my name is Catherine Wolf.
And my name is Renier Jooste.
And we are the co-founders of Pacarina. And we've got this amazing platform where we teach you to love yourself. And we show you how to have a relationship with yourself so that you can step into your purpose with confidence and power. So today we are going to dive a little bit deeper, as we have been going, into value alignment in relationships. And we're going to start with just a little recap on what your needs are. We're going to recap on your relationship with yourself and your beliefs, and then your values, and how your beliefs become your values, become your life. And then we're going to look at your filters, and then look at patterns. And after that, we're going to give you a process that, if you apply it, will show you the route back to yourself and to develop this relationship with yourself and to practice more self-love.
So the 4 core human needs. It's really amazing to be able to do a month on the relationship, because we really have the opportunity to go a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. So if you have been with us, this information is not new information, but seeing how this information of just understanding the core human needs got to build onto our belief systems and our values, and then seeing how we jump today into filters and acknowledgements of patterns that really just gets to help us a little bit more. So a short recap on the core human needs. Our core human needs will be met in our lives. It does not matter your nationality, it does not matter your religion, it does not matter anything, wherever you're from. You are driven by 6 core human needs. 2 of the needs are spiritual needs, needs of the soul, and the other 4 are personal needs. And those are the ones that are either going to be met constructively or destructively in our lives. So let's look at certainty first. Certainty is something that's amazing when it's inside of ourselves, because then even if you just look at certainty around self-love, if you have certainty that you have love for yourself, how you will show up will be totally different from a person that does not have certainty about loving themselves. So the person that does not have the certainty about loving themselves will run around outside in this world and needing the world to just love me, tell me that I'm good enough. Yeah, that's one destructive way of meeting a need. So the need will be met, like I said, either constructively or destructively. And the certainty of knowing that I am enough, good enough, I have self-love, like that is something that I can maintain. But to run around in this world outside, form changes all the time. So it's going to be a little bit of certainty here, a little bit there, a little bit there. Then I want to come back to the first one, and then it's not there anymore, and I need to find another one. So super destructive. Significance, the need to feel needed, the need to feel wanted. That is really getting to understand yourself. Like, how do I give to myself what it is that I need and what it is that I want? That's constructive. Destructive, I don't know what I need, I don't know what I want, and I'm running around in this world seeking for something to be given to me. and I always get disappointed, and with disappointment comes punishment, and with punishment, the relationships always end up in destruction. Sure. Then we have got love and connection. Love and connection is really this connection from your heart to your mind, from your mind to your heart, and how the mind really gets to check in with the heart. Now, the mind is going to do what the mind is going to do. That is how it works. And then we get to either react to what the mind is doing, and when we react to what the mind is doing, there is not this cohesive coherence, this connection between my heart and my mind, where my mind will actually check in with my heart. Is the ecology around this good for me, good for you, and good for the environment? If the answer is no, then we don't do it, because we have this connection with ourselves. But if it's just this mind space and not from the heart, then we don't do any ecology checks. We don't care if it's good for me, good for you, and good for the environment. We are like a schemer. I just need to get something. So it's just for me. I don't care about you. I don't care about the environment. And in that way, we really get to be on the destructive side of love and connection. So what we've got left is variety and surprise. Like somebody that does the same job every day, let's say an IT programmer, there's no variety there. Go to work, sit behind your computer and do that. And I will give you certainty, like a paycheck every end of the month, but for 21 days in a month, you will come and sit here and do just that. So that is variety. That if I do not know how I need the stimulation for surprise, for variety, for something else, again, I'm going to run around in this world outside and I'm going to seek for it. I'm going to search. And again, I will be disappointed. And you all know the story. I get disappointed. I punish. It ends up in destruction. So this story feels like it's pretty much covered with the understanding that the better I get to understand my own core human needs, and the better I get to show up for myself and meet my own needs, the better I will be able to show up in this world outside and actually extend, being in this place where I have got to give. But the most beautiful part is when I have this covered, what I attract are people like this. Because people like people who are like themselves. And that means that if I'm in a place where honesty is a very high value, I get to attract those kinds of people.
So, do you know what you need? This is a great time to just check in with yourself. Like Renier said, these needs they will be met, either constructively or destructively. If you're not aware of how these needs are being met, most likely it's destructive because you're getting it from outside of yourself. And when you look for it outside yourself, you are taking, not giving. And that is destructive. The very act of taking is taking something away from someone. In the world, I cannot give you $100 and keep $100 for myself. If I give you $100, I'm less $100. So we don't want to play in the laws of the world. We want to play in the metaphysical verse where we take responsibility for ourselves. And the way that we do that is to give to ourselves first, because when we do that, then we give by extending rather than taking, and we get to expand and create rather than being destructive. So a check-in with yourself as to where you are having these needs fulfilled, where you're having each of these needs fulfilled, and in what order are these important for you. So a little bit of a check for yourself to become aware of how you are getting these needs fulfilled. And then your relationship with yourself. How loving is a relationship with another person when you don't know what they need? Not very. You can't really show up for that person if you don't know what they value, if you don't know what they need, if you don't know what they want. So in your relationship with yourself, it's the same thing. Starting to think about what you need is building this relationship with yourself, and giving yourself what you need is nurturing that relationship with yourself.
So this relationship with yourself really sets the tone for every relationship outside of yourself. And I'm talking about your relationship with money, your relationship with food, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with your vocation. Like, all of those are relationships. And how do we get to show up for those relationships? The answer is we show up for those relationships exactly as we show up for ourselves. And if we don't show up for ourselves, we will be doing those relationships half-assed. That's just the truth of it.
So if this relationship with yourself sets the tone for all of the relationships in your life, everything that you are in relationship to, which is everything, then to become conscious about how you talk to yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you give to yourself is really super important. And by becoming conscious of that relationship, you start to transform the relationships outside of you. But you can't transform the relationships outside of you in a sustainable way without doing the work on yourself first.
So I can share with you a little part of a personal story. So my relationship with myself is super important for me, because I know that nobody outside of myself can give me what I really need or how I really need it. So if I'm not going to give it to myself, I'm not going to get it. And if I'm not getting it, I am going to experience unhappiness. And when I experience unhappiness, I will have to blame someone for it. So instead of doing that, I'm very much driven by variety. So for me to get outside, move my body, be active, explore, adventure, exercise, any one of those is really a good thing for me. And unfortunately, nobody can give that to me. Yes, somebody can invite me on an adventure and say to me, let's go and explore something, and I can go along. And that's nice. But is that going to happen every single day as I need it? And the answer is no. So what I do is I get up in the morning and I go and I do something. And I've been a little bit sick. I've been a little bit sick now for, I would say, a month. And in this month, I could not go outside. I could not go out into sharp light. And the result was that I was not so happy on the inside anymore. I was like frustrated. I was like irritated. And I was like, I need something that I'm not getting. So even though I was sick and I could not give that to myself, it was amazing. This morning, I feel strong, and we got up and we went to the mountain and we missioned up the mountain. We got to the top. It was amazing. We were there for a while, and then we came back. And then when we got to the office, my energy was charged and I'm feeling amazing today. And so that is one of the ways that I am sharing with you that I get to give to myself. It would be amazing to show you our view. We walked down the hill like for 10 minutes, and then we are at the ocean, and then we can swim in the ocean. And even something small like that, it's a half an hour out, swim in the ocean and back. Even something small like that is me giving myself exactly what I need.
But if you don't know that that's what you need, then all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit like antsy, like something is not right, it's a little bit grumpy, and then that gets projected on the world, and the world gets attacked, and through no fault of anybody else. it's really just because you don't know that's that need inside of me that I need to give to myself that I'm not. So if you don't have this relationship with yourself, you get to blame things outside of you for the way that you feel. But actually, it's something that you could have given to yourself, that you needed to have given to yourself. And because you're not, that's why you're feeling this unease inside of you. So your beliefs become your values, become your life. And I really, really love this because what we believe, we see. Remember the story about the flat world, like in the beginning. In the beginning, the world was flat and nobody believed that the world was round. And then when they discovered the world was round, no one believed them. And that's because we only see what we believe is there. So it's really important to look at your beliefs, because if your beliefs become your values, the things that you go after and you chase and you are tuned into, these become your life. And the problem is that most of our beliefs are not consciously chosen by us.
Yeah, exactly the same with our values. Like imagine what your mom and dad used to value and what your mom and dad used to believe. And us growing up in that all of a sudden got us to that point where now all of a sudden we believe that, and that is our values. And then at a certain point in life, we get there to say, okay, you know what? Let me look at these beliefs. Are they really my beliefs? Let me look at those values. Are they really what I value? What I would like to say to you is most of the time, the answer is no. No, we believe something totally different and we value something totally different. But because of that programming and us never questioning any of it, we are just in this stuckness of sameness. And that's just the way life goes, because that's how it's always been.
So to do an audit is really easy. Look at your life. Your life is going to show you what you value. And from that, you can see what are the beliefs associated with that. And if there are ones in there that are not serving you, that are not loving to yourself, then you have the opportunity to change them. And we're going to take you into that a little bit later. But for now, what do you believe about yourself? So have a look at that. Spend some time thinking about that, doing that audit on your life. And the things that you believe about yourself, start to become aware of that negative self-talk, self-judgments, and how you get to sugarcoat stuff because you're afraid of judging yourself or other people judging you the way that you really judge yourself. Have a look at where you want more, because where you want more is showing you where you have a belief that you are not enough. Think about where you don't value yourself, where you don't put yourself and your own needs first, where you don't set your boundaries, where you do stuff that you don't really want to do, but because you are afraid of not being liked, not being loved, not being accepted, the judgment, whatever it is, you go against what is good for you or what is true to you.
Yeah, the only part here I would like to share anything about is not enough. 6.9 billion people on this planet, and more than 90% of them walks around with that belief that I am not enough. And not because they choose to not be enough, really because of the programming, because of the beliefs, because of the values that they have been brought up with. So not enough is like the one that stands out the biggest. I am not enough. I don't have enough. But the answer to not enough is simple. It is with a question saying, what do I need right now? Like, even if I was to go out and sit on the street and not have a roof over my head, and the question is, what do I need right now? Then, well, I guess nothing. I would like to have a house, a roof over my head, but if I don't have one, I don't have one.
That's a want.
It's a want. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
So to be able to acknowledge that when I don't need anything, I cannot be not enough. It's impossible to be not enough when I don't need anything.
Let's talk about filters. I love this image, especially because it's been so true for us recently with Reneer's eye, where he hasn't been able to see properly. And so I think I'm going to let you share that story because it's yours.
Yeah, it's really hard to be happy and loving and caring and kind and compassionate when all of a sudden the one side ceases to exist. It's like it's always been there. Now all of a sudden it's gone. So let's talk about filters. We are all programmed in a very specific way. And like we said about the beliefs and the values, like we are like horses with these things on the sides of our eyes. Like don't look anywhere other than straight in front of yourself. And I have been working really hard to be able to do this, to have my peripheral vision open and be super aware of everything that's in the environment that I go into. And then all of a sudden to just have that, like there's nothing this side, it was not easy. To say the least, it was dark.
Yeah, these blinkers are such a beautiful illustration of what we are programmed to see. So it's a nice illustration, this. But what it means in life, because we don't literally walk around with blinkers on, but our subconscious mind takes in 4 billion bits of information per second. The conscious mind, 2,000. So the subconscious mind is 400 times more powerful than
100 billion times more.
400 billion times more powerful than the conscious mind, which means that your subconscious mind is filtering what you see. You are not seeing everything. You do not see the truth. You only see what you believe is there. You only see what your subconscious mind values. So this is a real story that happened where I said to Reneer, please go get the salt. And he goes and he opens the cupboard and he says to me, I can't find it. And I said, it's in the cupboard, look.
I did come back to the table and I said, the salt is not there. And she's like, go back, it's there. I'm telling you, in the cupboard. I went back and it was not there again. And I came back and I was like, God, where is the salt? She gets up, she walks to the cupboard, she opens the cupboard and she takes the salt right in front of my eyes. She's like, what is this?
So that is filters. And that just means that he was busy with something other than salt. So the filter for salt was not open. His subconscious mind was blocking that image to salt. So that's just a silly little example. But the same is true on every level in our lives. And when we are not aware of something,
like self-love.
Like self-love.
Like self-love.
Yeah.
Like showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
If your filter is not open for that.
Yeah, you're not going to give it to yourself.
No.
So as we're doing these talks, so our filters get open. And as we personally are doing this work, even though we know this stuff, we're working with it because we continue to show up and we continue to learn as we are teaching, our filters get more and more open. And as the filters get more and more open, so more and more stuff comes up, because now we have this awareness to deal with it. So we see it. And when we see it, we need to deal with it. So it's actually a really good thing when stuff comes up for you, because it means that your filters are opening to it. So we had a great conversation today with someone who said that they didn't even know that they were not loving to themselves until they started watching our content. And now they can see exactly how they're not loving to themselves. So that's because that filter has been open, that blinker has been open just a little bit more. And as the message goes deeper and as you start looking more, so those filters get more and more open. And so you see more and more. And as you see more and more in yourself, you will see more and more in other people and in the world.
And that's the beautiful part. The filters open up, and as it opens up, it stays open. And then you do some more work and it opens up some more, and then it stays open. And then you do some more work and it opens up some more. So the beautiful part is that once it's open, it's open. And like Kat said, 400 billion bits of information per second to the subconscious mind, and 2,000 bits of information per second to the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is really focused on the body, on the environment and time. That's really what the 2,000 bits of information per second is. So as we do this work and we open up more, we actually raise that 2,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 to 10,000, which just means that we actually get to take in a lot more than we ever were able to or would have even comprehended.
Yeah. And the same is true that I say 2,000 bits of information, but most people are not present. Most people are not aware. So that 2,000 becomes even smaller. Yes. Yeah. And the more you're distracted with stuff outside of you, the more you leave your mind unattended, the more you are not aware of what's happening around you and the less information you take in. So now let's talk about patterns. And what are your patterns? Because we're all stuck in patterns. We live in patterns. Everything is a pattern. There is a formula for everything. The way we do stuff is habitual. We have habits, and those habits form neurological patterns in our behavior, and we show up in the same way over and over and over again, which is why it can be so difficult to let go when we're unaware of the pattern that's behind it.
Yeah, this is something that was really standing out for me since I was a little boy, was patterns. I guess a gift to be able to see patterns. So even as a little boy, I would look at people and I would be like, whoa, this thing, they do this, then they do that, then they do the other. And then I see it again and I see it again. So it really got to serve me as I was getting more acquainted with this personal development. I saw another pattern. I saw that people are chasing information. It's like we are living in the information age. You can do this, then you can do the other. And it's just like you don't have to see anything through. You can just grab more and more and more. And ultimately, we end up knowing everything about everything and nothing about ourselves. So I was aware of that pattern and I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to do the self-development thing, but I'm going to do it differently. I want to actually experience what it is that I'm doing. So I got myself caught up in that pattern where I would do a self-development course and then I would not stop until I have experienced all of it. And then I would go on to the next one. And again, in the same way, I can share a bit of a personal story. Like I used to smoke cigarettes. But I did not enjoy to carry cigarettes with me. My cigarettes was in a very specific place. And if I wanted to smoke, I needed to go to that place take one cigarette, and I actually had to make it. Rollies, yeah. So it was organic tobacco. So I actually had to make it. So it is this smoking station that I got to go to, and I would make my cigarette, and I would go somewhere and I would sit and I would smoke it. This is long ago, many years ago. Then I decided to stop smoking, and I packed up my whole smoking station, and I'm done smoking now. And you will not believe, throughout my day, for at least another month after I stopped smoking, throughout my day, all of a sudden I get myself in front of the station, but there's nothing there anymore. And I'm like, what am I doing here? So subconsciously, our patterns get to drive us to actually take us to places where we used to do things. So I also had a water system in a very specific place, and I value to drink water, a lot of it. So I would go to the water station, I would get water, but sometimes I was lazy and I didn't fill up the water bottle. And then I would get to the water station. It's like, oh, I still need to fill this thing up. Like I've been here yesterday also when it was empty, but it's like I'm so programmed, so used to like, just go there. So we do everything in these pattern forms. And the thing is that we are so unaware of these patterns that we don't even know, unless somebody can be like, hey, look at how you're doing this, then that, then the other, like in that sequence. It's like, sure, I see.
So to become aware of your patterns, the first step is to make an acknowledgement. With any of this stuff, the first step is to see that you are doing this and to own it in yourself. To be open and honest and vulnerable with yourself, to put your hand up to yourself and say, I do this. And smoking cigarettes is one that's maybe easy to acknowledge because you can see it. It's like, well, if you're smoking, you're not hiding it from many people, so you can put your hand up. But harder acknowledgements are things like, I am not loving to myself. I have negative self-talk, very bad negative self-talk. I would never talk to anybody else in my life the way that I talk to myself. That's an acknowledgement.
That's a tough thing to do. If you were to just think about what she just said, it's like saying, I'm not kind, or I'm not caring, or I'm not compassionate, or I'm not loving about me. Like, are you crazy?
Or I'm abusing myself.
Yeah.
That can be a really difficult one. But the truth is that we all abuse ourselves. So to be honest with yourself, that you are doing this to yourself. You are the one causing yourself this pain, this angst inside of you. You are the one who's not feeling good because you have checked out of your mind and it's gone off on its tangent. It is stuck in a pattern on repeat, on a certain story that is not making you feel good. And that's why you don't feel good.
Super easy to blame.
Yeah,
because of you.
So much easier to say, that's the reason that I don't feel good.
Yep.
But it's much more difficult to say, okay, I take responsibility. I make the acknowledgement, it's me.
So with an acknowledgement, that is like super tough. What I would like to tell you is that 90% of the work is done, because this acknowledgement brings about this newfound awareness that, okay, I have now said out loud to myself, maybe even to my partner, that, okay, I am doing this thing, and this thing that I'm doing is destructive for myself. So every time that I'm going to do this thing again, I am going to be aware of it because I actually said it out loud. So the 90% of the work that was done was me making the acknowledgement. The 10% of the actual work that I get to see through is me choosing another way. Every single time I get to be honest and open and vulnerable with myself. I get to be like, okay, so now I can choose another way because I'm seeing this and I'm going down a road that I've been down this road so many times and I don't want to anymore. And at least now I am aware, because before I made this acknowledgement, I didn't know, but now I do.
So I'll share with you my own personal story about an acknowledgement recently made, is that I have had this thing for years where I say, if I don't feel well, if I haven't slept at night, for whatever reason, I can say, I feel like shit. And it's something that, like, I really do feel like shit. And Renita says to me, hey, what are you doing here? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get you. Like the literal translation of that is actually really quite gross. And it's not loving to myself at all. It's actually a form of self-abuse. So it's okay that I don't feel well. I can say that I feel unwell or I don't feel good. But to say that I feel like shit is a pattern of mine that I can acknowledge I'm abusing myself. And as I do that, so I bring more awareness. And as I do that, I open my filters. And so I can build a new habit and create a new pattern of not doing that, replacing it with something a lot more loving to myself. So thank you, my love.
You're welcome.
So awareness. I already kind of touched on awareness, but when you make the acknowledgement, you can then bring awareness to the problem.
So like whenever you feel really not well and this thought comes up, like it does not even have to leave your mouth anymore because the thought comes up and as you want to say it, it's like, whoa, another way. What is another way? Like, I really don't feel well. Let me just be here and do this for now. And later when I feel better, I will go about do. So instead of projecting how really shit I feel onto the world, because I guess if you project that onto someone else, they are also going to feel like that. But if you tell someone I'm unwell, they can actually have compassion and understanding and care and be kind and serve you in a way. Because of the extension, it's like sharing a part of yourself. So the awareness is really a super important thing that we bring about.
You want to do more?
You can do more.
All right. So we are all awareness. We are all consciousness. What we lack is the awareness. And the reason that we lack that awareness is because we've checked out. We're not there. We're not present. So to bring our consciousness back, well, our awareness back to ourselves increases our own consciousness. And let's look at the world. This world's economy is based on your awareness, based on your attention. We have been doing a lot of work on social media, and I can see how these platforms are programmed. In fact, what's the movie called? Social Dilemma. If you have not seen that, you have to see it. Social Dilemma on Netflix. And it shows you how these social media platforms are fighting for your awareness. They're fighting for your attention. Something that we recently discovered is Netflix is in competition with your sleep. They want to keep your awareness on their platform. That's what business is to take your awareness away from yourself and into what their agenda is. And the problem is when you do this is you check out of yourself. And when you do that, your subconscious mind is running on autopilot with all of the programs and the beliefs that are most likely destructive to you. So to increase that awareness is really super important, and to become aware of who is fighting for your attention, to make that acknowledgement first, and then once the acknowledgement is made, which is really 90% of the work, the awareness from there is really easy. If you don't make the acknowledgement first, you can't bring any awareness to anything. So once the acknowledgement is made that maybe I spend a lot of time on social media and it's stealing my awareness, because before I know it, an hour is gone like that, and I've not spent it on anything intentional for myself. And then you can become more aware of when you're doing it. And maybe next time you're just aware and you're still doing it. And that's okay. And then the next time after that, you're aware while you're doing it and you decide to stop. And then the next time you don't do it.
You actually set an alarm to say, I've got 15 minutes. I need to get this done. When 15 minutes is passed, the alarm goes off and it's like, thank you for my reminder. I'm done with this. So let's look at consciousness. If you look at people that rape, that steal, that murder, that is a very low level of consciousness. It's just where they are. Then you look at people that Mother Teresa, that really serves and really does something for the greater good. That level of consciousness is super high. And where we are is bringing awareness to our consciousness. And as we bring more awareness, our level of consciousness goes up and up and up and up to a point where our beliefs and our values towards ourselves is all just loving, to a place where, like, how can I serve this moment?
So we've already given you 2 steps. But this is our formula, our 6 steps to self-love. And this is really the process of increasing our consciousness. The first thing you do is to make an acknowledgement. And that really is the most difficult part, to be open, honest, and vulnerable with yourself, to look at how you're showing up and take responsibility, takes radical self-honesty, takes radical courage. So once the acknowledgement has been made, you can give yourself a huge pat on the back. When you've put your hand up to yourself and you've admitted it to yourself, you're mostly there. After that, your filters start to become open and you bring more awareness to the process. And as you bring more awareness to the process, you need to practice patience. Because
so let's do it this way. Make the acknowledgement on self-love and then use that as you go past.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I acknowledge that I am not being loving to myself. I acknowledge that I'm abusing myself. So we'll use the example of my I feel like shit. So now that I've made that acknowledgement, in my day, I can become aware of when I'm doing it. And sometimes I don't catch myself. And then I have an amazing partner who catches it for me. Yes, Mahendra, go for it.
Acknowledgement. Sometimes we notice ourselves. Sometimes somebody else tell us our habit. And then the process, whether we agree, disagree, or look at it afterwards, I think there's something which we look at it, or somebody pointed out, or we wish to change, and then the acknowledgement comes in. That's a maybe we put a 0.0, which is our willingness to look at ourselves. I'm just throwing the idea.
Okay, willingness is an absolutely essential part in the process. You are right.
If you are doing work like this, you have a willingness inside of you, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, someone can tell you something about yourself, can show you something about yourself, but if you're not willing to look at it, you can't make the acknowledgement.
Sure.
It doesn't help if someone else says it. You'll just get defensive if you're not willing. Yeah. if you're not willing to make that acknowledgement for yourself, if you're not willing to take responsibility for yourself.
So the acknowledgement of speaking negatively to yourself brings about this awareness. When you say it out loud and be like, okay, I do this thing that is not good for me, then when your train of thought goes there, all of a sudden there's this awareness that's be like, no, don't be like that. Don't do that. And then it's like, okay, I can do something else. So what you would need is patience, because many times as you go through this thing called life, something is going to come in and you're going to be like, oh, I feel like shit. And whoa, I'm going to be patient with myself because this thing is going to show up now many times because I am aware of it. And then persistence, like being patient and persistent.
Yeah, I just want to go back to patience though, because in that acknowledgement of, oh dear, I messed up, there's an opportunity to practice self-love, or there's an opportunity to be hard on yourself and to say, oh, I failed at it again and I'm never going to get this right. And so that's where patience is really important, is to understand that this is going to take time and to practice being loving to yourself in that process, and not need to have instant gratification. Like, because I made the acknowledgement, it should all be gone now.
Not like that.
Not like that. It does not happen. So patience is really, really important.
With yourself.
Yeah. Patience with yourself and the process.
And then you've got persistence.
Yeah.
Like, do not give up. Just continue to bring your awareness to whatever the train of thoughts is, and be persistent again and again and again. And I promise you, like, if you were to do this out loud, like in front of a whole lot of people, you will not do it more than 3 times. Like use this one. I feel like shit. It's okay to do it with yourself. It's okay to project it on another one, but imagine doing it in a group. Hey, world, I feel like shit. Like, what? No, we will be too shy to do that. So if you were to do it 3 times out loud, you will stop doing it, I promise you. But doing it for yourself, you need this patience with yourself and the persistence to continue to choose another way. And then to do that until consistency and congruency with the new way is showing up. Like when you get to the point where you don't feel well, and that is the words that come out, like, I don't feel well today. When that happens, you know you are clear. And then you use this same formula to jump onto the next thing, because this formula runs through everything.
So this is really a formula that you can use to break habits and to change, to break patterns, to change your habits, to change your beliefs and your values, and to change your life. And we can't focus on 10 things at once. We're setting ourselves up to fail. So to break it down, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. It's a kind of a weird saying. Don't know why anyone would want to eat an elephant.
Me too.
But I don't eat meat, so especially I don't understand. But anyway, as the saying goes, figuratively, 1 bite at a time. Focus on something. Decide that this is the pattern I want to break. And then start at step 1. Make the acknowledgement.
Out loud.
Out loud to yourself.
If you can, to somebody else, even better.
Yeah. And then watch yourself as you bring increased awareness to the process. Practice patience and persistence until consistency and congruency become your new way of being. And as you do that, you will become a master at stepping into your personal power and holding your personal power. I love this image of like, woof, it's here inside. This is where my power is. And every time I do something that's out of alignment with myself, in an old pattern, I give my power away. I leak my power outside of myself. And that is destructive to your own relationship with yourself.
Yeah, I also really enjoy this image. It's all about, how do you cultivate this presence, this awareness, this love on the inside with yourself. And that's thing that we have said many times before, and we will continue to say it forever. We can only give what we've got. Has got us to this point where if I cultivate this super strong personal power inside of myself, that is what I would have to share with this world outside of myself. And the only thing is, how important is this for me? Can I make an acknowledgement to say that I have not been cultivating, building on this personal power inside of myself? And if I can say that, my awareness to that will be to a point where I can choose another way.